a pink balloon went across the road in front of the car when we're 2 minutes away from the baby scan. Mad. I went, well, a little girl. They said, and I went to Saf like this. And she went, what? And I went, I said, I know it's going to be a little girl, Saf. And she said, what's wrong with that? And I said, I just know that this little girl is going to break my heart. I knew she was going to break my heart. I just didn't realise it was going to be in this way. Seeing that last breath of her leave her body and realising that that's the last time you're ever going to see your little girl is a low moment. Walking around your house, holding your little girl who's no longer breathing anymore and thinking that it'd be all right to keep her like that for the rest of your life just so you can have her and hold her is a low moment. Even though I feel like the unluckiest man in the world to have gone through what I've been through, I also feel like the luckiest man in the world to have been blessed with enough to have been chosen to be her father. After that moment, I realised that I was never going to quit anything else again in my fucking life. Round one, ding ding. Let's go then.
First second of the day. You ready?
Yeah, man.
Let's do it. How's that?
Yeah, man.
Imagine, how's that? Yeah, man.
yeah.
That's your answer.
Hey, listen, it's been a while.
How long you wanted this piece for then?
So you know what, yeah, I wanted my stomach done for a while, but it was really important for me to, really think what I wanted and also find the right person to do it. I'm a big believer in, looking in the mirror and being the person that I want to be and achieving the things that I want to do. And I believe that, at the end of the day, it's only my opinion of myself that truly matters. Because it's me who I have to live with for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you know what I mean? So I just really wanted something on my stomach that was gonna really represent the journey between me and my daughter. And also something that every time I looked at made me remember who I was and why I'm doing it. So this is 100%, the most important piece I would have had to date. And it's going to be something I think that's going to carry me through all the tough times that I've got to enjoy in the future,
I made this composition and this tattoo, it was for, first and foremost Azalea, but your story's in there as well, in certain parts, like the halo above the sunset. That quote, I think, represents you the most, do you know what I mean? And there's other things dotted around that I think it's a mixture of you and your whole family, we've got the family alliance down here. It's just your story as a whole. It's such a large area that we can do that. We can fit a lot in without overpacking it up.
Well, I think, he said like it starts with Azalea. I think that's the main part, The true amazing thing about Azalea is it was never just about Azalea. No matter how much pain she was going through or what she had to fight, she had the ability to lift everyone around her. She made me feel strong when I felt weak. She made me feel brave, when I felt scared, and she taught me that even through, your darkest times, you have the ability to lift others and make them smile, because that's what she did for me every single day.
Yeah.
And she didn't only lift and inspire and encourage me to be a better person. She did it, for her whole family and for people around the world. So I think, this piece incorporating, me, my family, even Sophia and other people that have followed us is a true reflection of the power of Azalea and, the legacy that she's still continuing to leave on this planet.
Yeah, so Ash, what is your first ever tattoo? How old were you when you got it? And what's the story behind it? And I'm sure it's probably going to be a bad tattoo.
So we're talking about the first ever one?
First ever tattoo.
Okay, well, the first ever tattoo I got is going to be getting covered up by the end of this. And it's, and it's the one down the side.
Okay.
The first tattoo I ever got, really strange, because no matter how much I like or dislike the tattoos I have on my body, they all have a meaning and all tell a story. However, the first one I got doesn't, and it completely doesn't. It's just a design that I seen on somebody else, and I kind of copied it.
Oh, really?
And that was it. And it's the first and last time I've ever done that. You know what I mean? But that's the lack of depth to my first ever tattoo. I think I was 16 when I got it done. You know, I was playing for Coventry City in the academy at the time. My manager absolutely hated it, you know. I hid it from my dad for about, 4 months. And, it was just one of those kind of things at the time where impulsively I wanted to do, and I got done. And, I've been looking for an opportunity to get it covered ever since. And,
That's cool.
This is the time.
And what's your favourite tattoo that you've got, other than the one that Jake's doing now, because it's going to be your favourite?
I think
Give me two, and for what reason?
I think I'm gonna have to say, I can explain some of my other ones, but I think, I've got 2 tattoos on me at the minute that represent Azalea, and that's one on the left side of my neck, which actually says Azalea, and there's one on my right side of my neck, which is a lioness, because Azalea is a little lioness, you know what I mean? They were important to me because they were the first 2 tattoos I got, representing Azalea since I lost her. And that's why this one's going to be so important to me as well, because she's the driving force in my life and she's my reason why. So I would say that they're the most important 2. They're also the most painful 2 and the longest 2 as well. You know what I mean? So I'm guessing this is going to trump both of them again. I'm going to tell you a story relating to that. My 2 tattoos of Azalea were my most painful ones, but they're the most important ones. And there's a mad story, yeah. When me and Saf were on the way to the scan, to find out whether, Azalea was going to be a boy or a girl, a pink balloon went across the road in front of the car when we were 2 minutes away from the baby scan. Mad. I went, well, a little girl. They said, and I went to Saf like this. And she went, what? And I went, I said, I know it's going to be a little girl, Saf. And she said, what's wrong with that? And I said, I just know that this little girl is going to break my heart. I knew she was going to break my heart. I just didn't realise it was going to be in this way. It's like everything with that little girl, She brought me the most joy in this world, but it was always through the most pain. But even in that, she was still teaching me, every single day of the fear and the pain that I went through. She was the one that stood by me to give me the strength and the bravery to do it. She didn't come onto this earth and leave me straight away. She did not come onto this earth. She came onto this earth and stood by me through all of the most traumatic times where I really needed her to prepare me for the rest of my life. And she still watches over me and stands by me now. And it's just mad that, I go on Instagram and, I see pictures and videos of my daughter all the time because people still post about her. My background on my phone, is a beautiful baby. I always, listen to playlists, which were the songs that we used to dance to in hospital. I watch videos and look at pictures of her. And every time I look at her, it warms my heart, but it breaks it at the same time. It's that combination of the most magical and beautiful person I know and the most magical and beautiful times of my life, combined with the most traumatic and painful. And I guess that's part of our journey, but I guess also that's where the true strength is formed,
What does the lowest point look like for you? Just so people know, like, what you go for. What does the lowest point look like for you?
The lowest point for me, well, the only way I can explain it is, people out there with kids, know how important they are. the most important thing we will ever have on this earth. We would do anything for them. We would give our lives for them, you know. And to be lying next to your child while you're counting the last breaths is a pretty low moment. You know, seeing that last breath of air leave her body and realising that that's the last time you're ever going to see your little girl is a low moment. Walking around your house, holding your little girl who's no longer breathing anymore and thinking that it'd be alright to keep her like that for the rest of your life just so you can have her and hold her is a low moment. You know, having to think of planning your daughter's funeral, writing her eulogy, finding the courage to speak it on a day, lowering her coffin into the ground, and then understanding that the only time you're going to see your child again every single night is by visiting her resting place. That's a low moment. I could go on. I could start from before that. I could continue after that. Every single morning I wake up, bro, I look at a picture of my daughter. Then the first thing I do is I say good morning to her. And then I have to say my prayers to God. And in my prayers, I have to show gratitude for the 8 months I had with her. Because even though I feel like the unluckiest man in the world to have gone through what I've been through, I also feel like the luckiest man in the world to have been blessed enough to have been chosen to be her father and have her given to me as my daughter. And I also have to show gratitude because if I don't show gratitude, then I'll have bitterness. Which means that when I go around to my brother's that day, and he's got a little daughter exactly the same age as Azalea, I wouldn't be able to take that. When I see my other brother's kids, my other sister's kids, the other kids in my family, when I see, you know, people from our community, when I do challenges and they put their children in my arms and want me to hold their kids because they know how good I was with Azalea and they want their kid to feel the love that I have, I wouldn't be able to do all these things that I want to do. I wouldn't be able to go in the children's hospitals on the same ward and sometimes in the same room as me and my little girl were in and try and make a difference to these kids' lives. So I think the reality of it is, bro, you know, people can look at me and they can think, you know, I'm living a life, bro. I ain't really living no quality of life. I'm sad and upset most days, and that's fine because I surround it with strength. And that's why now I don't look at my life in terms of how happy can I be or how much can I enjoy things. I look at how much self-worth I can build, how much of a difference to other people's lives can I make, and what can I leave on this earth for my daughter, for myself, and for my family way beyond my years of being here. And that is what gives me my quality of life, the service that I can give rather than all the things I can take. So yeah, that's what shapes me as a person now. And you know, people may see, you know, you smiling, you jumping around, you know, you trying to infect people with positive energy, and that's because I do, you know. That's because when I wake up, I believe that my daughter's watching down on me. So I don't want her to see her daddy crying all the time. I wanted to see how much of a positive impact she had on her daddy so she could see this beacon of light running around, helping so many other people because he feels selfish that he kept the beacon of light that made him a better person to himself, you know. So yeah, you know, I learned something, bro, yeah. And it says, I read a quote and it's quite apt to me. It's the difference between an ordeal and an adventure is attitude. It's all attitude, bro. You know, I could have chose to be the person that wakes up in the morning and goes, why me? If I adopted that attitude, I would also be the person in the morning that doesn't get out of bed. I'd be the person in the morning that is bitter. I'd be the person in the morning that is sad. And I'd be the person in the morning that is incapable of achieving anything because I'm too worried about my emotions, my feelings, and worrying about why it happened to me rather than what I'm going to do about it. My simple attitude is, you know, the world's bigger than me. I'm not the first person it happened to, and I'm not going to be the last. And if it did happen to me, which it has, I refuse to let her birth, her time here, and her passing be in vain. And I'm a true believer in, bro, love will conquer all. I love my daughter that much that I will go through anything I have to go through to not only make her proud, but to try and ensure my place in heaven by her side when it's the end of my time, yeah? So there ain't no time for me to wake up in the morning and think, why me? Because guess what? There's kids dying of cancer every single day, every single week. Guess what? There's people out there that are not strong enough to get out of bed in the morning because they are incapable of moving from their trauma, from their depression, from their anxiety, from their mental health conditions. There is a little girl up there in heaven that battled through something far worse than I will ever have to face, and she fought like an absolute warrior every single day and made the quality of everyone's life around her better while she was doing it. Man, I've got to get up in the morning and I've got to make shit happen because she did and because other people need me too. And that's my attitude, bro. And I'll do that every single day till the fucking wheels fall off. Because, you know, some of us are put here for a reason. And God didn't put me through what he put me through so I can sit down in bed and cry about it. I want to do something about it. And I'm going to give her the most incredible show on the way.
I heard you say a lot that like Azalea changed your life and saved your life. Can you talk on how she saved your life?
I can look at, you know, how she saved my life in so many different ways. You know, I can look at it in terms of, you know, the way I was living before I had Azalea was leading to something cataclysmic. 100%. And I'm not going to go into too many details, but there was a lot of aspects of how I was living that could have resulted in me not being here anymore. You know, I had no purpose, I had no direction. I had all the abilities that someone could have hoped, wished or dreamed for, and I was simply wasting them, you know. And so not only did she make me want to be a better person because I wanted to be a good dad, I wanted to be alive when she grew up. I wanted to be the one that guided her on her path to growing up. But she made my interest completely change from the things I was interested in or my vices to actually just being a loving parent. And I realised that was the best thing. I also believe she saved my life because, you know, if you're a believer or you are not, when you go through something that's difficult, or whether your plane's crashing, or whether something happens traumatic to you or your family, yeah, you put your hands together, or you put your hands in front of you, and you get on your knees and pray. That's whether you class yourself as religious or not. My point of view is, yeah, like, why am I gonna leave it to every single time I need God to put my hands together and not show him the respect he deserves every single day of my life, yeah? So I guess she saved my life in the fact that the life that I was leading before I had Azalea was taking me nowhere but how. Yeah. She gave me a chance for me to actually understand what life is truly about, realize the person that I needed to be, and stop taking from this world and start giving back, start trying to do some of God's work. So by her being here, she gave me a true shot of redemption. She gave me a chance to balance the scales. She gave me an opportunity so that when I do pass and I do, climb those stairs and get to the gates and I roll out my CV, hopefully they open the gates now, rather than kicking me back down to where I should have been before. She saved my life in so many different ways, bro, that, anybody that I explain it to will never, ever be able to truly imagine. But that's why I hold, so much, not only love, like respect, admiration, everything for that little girl, because nobody will truly understand how much she really has done for me and how much she has given me and how grateful I am to have had her. Bro, like, that little girl is my fucking hero, bro. You know what I mean? When I say hero, I mean, she is my fucking hero. I've never loved somebody or looked up to somebody so much in my life. And, bro, how can you not be grateful for that? You get what I'm saying? And that's why, like, obviously, it was me that had to be a good dad, and it was me that had to give my time. But in me choosing to do that, I gained so much from it that it was the least I could do. And that's why now, understanding, what I do so much and I go through so much to try and help others, but I know that it's worth it. You only get out of anything what you put in. And when your true intention is not to get anything out at all, you get even more, bro.
Well, I think that's what is amazing, that you don't have to do anything you're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's forcing you to do what you're doing. You're doing it off your own back. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't realise that this was going to be so emotional, bro. I thought I was going to come here and sit in pain.
On that topic there, yeah, tears, two things. One thing is, what's your relationship now like with crying? Like, with the whole, I think it's toxic masculinity of like, what, I don't cry. What's your relationship like with crying? And has it changed over the last few years?
I know it's Azalea, but that's my life. One thing I'm grateful for is, bro, I feel like all my life I've put on a bit of a facade. I've had to be this person to achieve this. I've had to be that person to achieve that. I've had to be that person to get into there. I've had to be that person to do this. So, like I talk about my childhood, man, I was fighting from a kid. Every single day I was suffering from, severe racism, verbal bullying, physical bullying. I don't call it bullying. I was literally getting attacked, bro, for being the colour. I was getting attacked by people that had left school. I was getting attacked by multiple groups of people with bats, weapons, just for being the colour that I was, because there was nobody in my colour around the area that I lived in. My school had 1,800 people. It's in special measures. It was in a rough area. You know what I mean? And so I had to be a certain kind of person, bro. Do you know what I'm trying to say? To survive, I had to be that kind of person when I started going into my adult years to get where I got to. And then when I had Azalea, bro, she let me be who I wanted to be. I didn't want to be serious, bro. I didn't want to have to fight no more. I didn't want to have to pretend that I was a tough man. I wanted to be a proper man. I wanted to love. I wanted to feel loved. I wanted to play. I wanted to dance. I wanted to be a daddy, bro, and be the best daddy. And give everything I needed to give to require me to be that. So I have, a relationship with crying where I cry when I want. I cry for how long I want. I cry in front of whoever I want. And I build a lot of connections with people through tears. And it's like the relationship with my dad, bro. Like, I've never seen my dad cry. I'd never seen my dad cry ever. It was only like when I was going through the situation, I was going through my daughter, and my dad told me he loved me, you know, that we started actually touching. You know, if I grazed hands with my dad before when I'm walking past him, he'd be like, yo, like this, yeah? You know what I mean? But we actually started, you know, I gave him a hug, which was weird. And I broke him down to the point where, you know, he shows his emotions to me now. He actually talks to me about how he genuinely feels. When I walk through the door, he gives me a hug. When I leave, he gives me a hug. He tells me he loves me. I tell him the same. If he's upset, the man will tell me, the man will have a tear in his eye. If I tell him a story, he's upset and have a tear in his eye, I'll do the same. And the bond that we have created since his barriers came down is something that is unimaginable. And it's one of like the most incredible relationships I've got on this planet. So I don't think there's, you know, any weakness in crying. I don't think it's, you know, you being vulnerable. I think it's something that if that's what you need to do, it's you being open, honest, it's you being strong and comfortable, and it's something that will not only relieve a lot of stress and tension from your body, but help you build the necessary connections with the people that you love and care about the most.
So you spoke earlier about whether someone's a believer or not. What's your relationship been like with God or spirituality? It must have been a turbulent journey through like ups and downs. What's your relationship been like over the past, from before Azalea even and to now? What's the journey been like with God?
You know, I guess, you know, turbulence is kind of a good word, you know. A lot of the first tattoos I got, you know, Jesus, you know, an eye there with crossing, keep faith in sight, you know. I feel I would say that I lost my way a little bit with faith. Not that I stopped believing, but I stopped showing the discipline and, you know, being that kind of person and doing the required things to show God the respect he's deserved of. And then, you know, when he ended up taking my daughter, for a point, I really couldn't understand it. I thought, if there is a God, why did my daughter get cancer? Why did she go through all the pain that she went through? Why did I lose her? And then that to realise, Troy, that, you know, if no longer I had faith, I didn't have anything. If I didn't have faith, I wouldn't believe in heaven. You know, and I believe that that's what my daughter is. I believe that that's the place that I want to go to in the end. So I kept my faith because I thought you can't only have faith in times of need. You can't only always have faith when you want something from God, you know. Faith is a two-way thing. If you want God to help you, you also have to serve God. And that's why I ended up keeping my faith, because I thought, you know, I don't really believe in hell anymore. I believe that where we're living is probably hell because of all the things that we have to fight, all the things that we have to go through, all of the trials and tribulations that we face on a day-to-day basis. You get me?
What's the closest you've come to giving up? Because you've done all of these challenges. Was it on any of those challenges? What was the moment that you feel like you can look back and say, that was a moment where I was the closest to giving up?
You know the thing about quitting, yeah? I'm going to tell you about a very poignant part. It's a very standalone part of my life where everything changed. I went on SAS after I lost Azalea, like quite close after losing her actually. I went on the show because I wanted to find out if I was truly strong enough to be this person that could achieve all these things. You know what I mean? Now, when I went on there, without sounding arrogant, there's no doubt about it. I was the strongest contestant, you know. I believe that I was physically superior. I believe that, you know, my abilities and, you know, the way I was catered on, my mind was conditioned to what they wanted us to do. And I believed I was a very strong person in that group. I was a leader, you know, through what I went through and through the person I wanted to become. Now, I think, you know, the narrative was that everybody thought I was going to win the show. And then I got to the interrogation, you know, and I was in there for 15 hours, bro. And, you know, because of all my operations, I couldn't sit in half of the positions they were trying to put me at. So I was at a disadvantage straight away. But also, and I'm not going to go into it, they were playing a lot of things in your ears. You're blindfolded and you have, you know, headphones on, which play a lot of things which weren't really suitable to me after I'd just gone through the trauma of losing my child, you know what I mean? And after 15 hours of enduring that, I kind of convinced myself that, you know, I've proved myself physically, I've faced my fears, I've overcome a lot of things that I thought I couldn't, and now I don't need this punishment that I'm hearing in my head. I've had enough punishment, you know. And I got to the point where, you know, I took my armband off, which no one could believe. And I took my armband off because I thought that was the right thing to do. I thought I didn't deserve to sit and listen to the things I had to listen to after I've been through what I've been through. You understand? Bro, I've never been able to stop thinking about it since. After that moment, I realised that I was never going to quit anything else again in my fucking life. The pain that you have to suffer is temporary, and the storm will always pass. But that weight of regret will hold you down forever if you quit. Also, like, you think about, you know, you asked me about, you know, I've ever, you know, come to the point where I woke up and I didn't want to fight no more, that I wanted to quit. You know, many people ask me this, and a lot of people say I don't know how you do it, yeah. But, you know, I remember I always use this analogy to people, especially people with kids, or, you know, anyone with a loved person in their life that really means something. If somebody literally went and grabbed your mom or your girlfriend now and put them on a cloud in the sky, yeah?
You're gonna get there.
Well, you know, you can get them down, you can get to them, you can get them down, you can go and be with them, but they're on this cloud in the sky, which is higher than the Burj Khalifa. You don't really know how high it is, yeah? You ain't gonna think, oh my God, why did someone take my mom? Oh my God, why did someone take my girlfriend? You're gonna think, oh, I really miss them, why me? You are gonna get the fuck up and start building that tower to bring them back down again, or to be with them again as soon as possible, with no delay, with nothing stopping you, yeah? That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build that fucking tower. And I don't want to leave it to chance. You know, people go to me all the time, they go like, listen, mate, you've done enough to make it over there, see her. I'm like, listen, she is the most important thing in the world to me, hands down. I am not leaving that fucker to chance. And when I put it into these kind of terms, people start understanding me. The reason I will never quit is because I love so much. It ain't because I want to fight. Of course I don't want to fight. Nobody wants to fight. Nobody wants to have to battle every day or go through pain. But sometimes you ain't got a fucking choice, bro. And if you ain't got a choice, what do? Difference between an ordeal and an adventure is attitude. So I just fucking make sure that, you know, if I've got to go through this burden of fighting every day, I'm going to make sure she enjoys watching me. I'm going to make sure that it helps people along the way. That's it, bro.
I think I feel like you're just a really competitive person as well. So I was going to say, if you look back at your life, where do you think that comes from? You being really competitive? Because I can imagine you as the person in PE class that you're just trying to be the best. You're getting picked first for football. You're trying to be the, like, where do you think that comes from? Like, why? Like, why are you like that?
I think my competitive nature definitely comes from my dad's side. You know, we've got a big family. There's a lot of uncles. I've got, you know, 2 older brothers, 2 young sisters. I've got loads of cousins, and you know, my whole dad side of the family, the black side of the family, the Caribbean side of the family, they're loud, they're energetic, they're boisterous, and they're competitive. You know what I mean? I remember, like, you know, having to wrestle and fight my brothers when I was 4 years old. You know, I remember getting pitted against my cousins every single time we had a family gathering. I remember that even before, you know, remembering going to school, I wanted to be the best amongst the peers that I was around. You know what I mean? Because that held a certain kind of weight and respect. You know what I mean? And then obviously when I went into school, you know, not only was I the quickest kid in my school, but I was the quickest kid in the country. I was ranked 1 in the UK. You know what I mean? At 14, bro, I could bench 100 kilos. I was a superior athlete. You know what I mean? I was playing for Coventry City. You know, I got picked up for England. I was, you know, I went and played badminton in PE, and I played in the county championships. You know, I went and swam. I competed for my county in swimming. You know, when I did athletics, I competed for my country nationally. When I got injured and couldn't run, I qualified for the javelin in the nationals. I was one of the people that picked something up, and I did it. You know, got trials for Leicester Tigers in rugby, Coventry City football, England athletics. I was always that kind of person. I wanted to win and compete in everything I did. And if I didn't win, I lost. You know, there was no second or third place for me. And that's how I've always seen it. I see things different now because, you know, I'm at a different stage of my life. I'm older, wiser, more mature, and, you know, I'm not doing anything necessarily in a competitive sport anymore. What I measure things on now is effort. You know, how much effort that you give in, that you put in, sorry. Because in everything that I do, it's always me competing against me. It's me proving to me. It's me outwilling me. It's me outworking me. And that's what I measure things on now, and that's the respect, you know, how I measure the respect I give to other people. I don't care who's the biggest, who's the strongest, who's the quickest, who's the fittest. I care about how much effort that person is willing to give for what they want. And that's how things have changed. So I guess, you know, my competitive nature with trying to prove who I was in this tier system of my peers has been transformed into what validation I can give myself for the effort that I put in that day to become the person I want to be, to achieve the things I want to achieve. And I know that nothing short of 100% will do that. And the fact that I also know that how short life can be, how tomorrow is not promised, how we only get one shot at this life. I think if you don't give 100% every day, you'd be fucking stupid. You know, I've always knew, Troy, that I was meant to be somebody. And I had this conversation, you know, with Saf the other day. Saf was telling me about, you know, and a lot more. Saf was telling me some people in my family do, and, you know, I always get this advice from other people about me going to counselling. I said, you know, I'm not saying anything bad against counselling, and I can understand why people go to counselling, and I can understand how counselling helps some people. But I think counselling is for some people. I don't think it's for everybody. And people always say, why? Of course it is. And I said, well, you know, a lot of people I know go to counselling feel like they don't fit in. They have, like, you know, they have had problems with relationships, they have behavioural problems, they have certain issues in their life that they feel like they stand out from the rest of people in, and not in a good way. So they, you know, they get with the counsellor to build relationships, to make sure they fit in with society, to, you know, help them become a person of this world, a better person of this world. And that's fine, you know. But number one, I believe I have a very good level of emotional intelligence. I feel like I understand myself, and I'm very critical of myself, the good points and the bad points, and I work on myself every single day of making myself better. That's not the main thing. The main thing is, I'm not trying to fit in. I'm not trying to be understood. I'm trying to do things in this world that haven't been done before, that aren't comprehensible to the human mind or the human body. I'm trying to step outside of my comfort zone and achieve things that much that my life can't have balance, my life can't have normality, and my life can't possibly be understood, because why would somebody want to be doing the things that I do with all the pain that it carries for the lack of reward that it gets, which what's being seen. My point also is, you know, I'll go to a counsellor and, you know, the counsellor that I'm speaking to isn't necessarily a person that is gifted in understanding people. They're the person that's got a degree. They probably have never lost a child before in their life. They probably haven't ran 100 miles, kiteed 1,000 miles, cycled 1,000 miles, jumped out of planes, climbed mountains, raised millions of pounds, and visit poorly children every single day, even after losing one. They couldn't possibly understand, number one, what I've been through. They couldn't understand walking a day in my shoes after being through it, going through it. And they couldn't understand the magnitude of what I want to achieve and why I want to achieve it on a scale of 1,000 compared to why I know why I want to be that person, why I want to do these things. And I'm happy with my pain. I am happy with my path. And for the first time in my life, I know who I am and where I want to go. And I don't want to change that. You know, one thing that I was leading to with that is, you know, the conversations that I had with people is, you know, someone said to me, okay, you know, you've got, you know, you're the legacy that you want to, you know, leave for Azalea. You want to make her proud. You want to do all these challenges, take her around the world. You want to raise money. You want to raise awareness. You want to, you know, inspire people. They were like, that's a segment of your life. They were like, what about the other part? What about Ashley? And I went, what other part? They were like, yeah, what about, you know, all of the other part? They were like, that's like, you know, 30-40% of your life. What about the other part? And I went, 30-40% based on what chart? I said, like, you know, where is you? I said, you know, you want to think about where you want to go to eat. You want to think about your holiday. You want to think about, you know, where you're going to go on a date this weekend. You want to think about all of these kind of things. I said, that doesn't bother me anymore. I said, guess what? I said, I've been around the world. I've had nice cars. I've had nice houses. I've done nice things. I said, and I understand that after going through what I've been through, that equates to fuck all in my life anymore. What matters to me is the magnitude of what I can achieve for her, for these children, and for people that can't. That's what matters to me. I said, so for that reason, I said, my life has no balance. I said, there is no balance. If you want to be the best in the world at something, if you want to be somebody that's achieved something that no one else has, to lift an amount of people that no one else has ever done before, to save lives, I said, you can't have a balance between, you know, that and where you want to go and eat at the weekend. I said, that is my fucking life. I want to be the one. I said, and, you know, who I'm choosing to be now isn't just, you know, a result of losing my daughter. And my daughter didn't only just give me this purpose for her and for these children, for other people. So my daughter in this journey made me realize who I am. She made me realize all of the abilities and qualities that God gifted me with. She made me realize that I actually was right when I believed when I was a kid that I was put on this earth for a reason, and I am going to fucking fulfill that reason. So don't talk to me about balance. Don't talk to me about needing to speak to somebody. Don't talk to me about wanting to fit in or be understood. I don't want any of these things. I don't want balance because I want to be the best in the world. I don't want to be understood because nobody should be able to fucking understand me. I don't want to talk to somebody about why this happened because guess what? It happened, and it's not what happened that defines me, it's what I choose to do about it that does. That's my fucking life. And that's why I am who I am and why you are who you are.
If you could talk to yourself 10 years ago, have a conversation with him, what would you say? short conversation?
I don't think I would, try and advise him or push him into any direction. I would just tell him that, at some point in your life, you are going to need to be stronger than you ever thought you could be. Start building the foundations now. I would tell him that life is tough, life is gonna hurt, and life isn't always gonna go your way. And it's gonna throw curveballs at you that will take you off your feet. But it's not the moments that hurt, that break you, that will define you. It's who you become and who you build as a result of it that will. And lastly, I would tell that person that at some stage of your life, the promises that you make to yourself and the effort that you give on a day-to-day basis is all you will have left. Start being that person and inputting that effort now, so that when it is needed, it'll be second nature. Because trust me, you will have to do it. That's probably what I would say. I wouldn't tell him to save money. I wouldn't tell him not to go out. I wouldn't tell him not to make mistakes. I would just give him a warning of the experiences I know that life will throw and the things that he will have to go through. And I would leave it all to him to decide whether he wants to start being that person or not. Because evidently, you either start feeling pain now or you're gonna feel it later, and it's gonna hurt twice as much then.
Here's one. What do you think you knowing yourself then, what do you think his response to you saying that to him would be?
He'd probably laugh and do everything that he was doing before. That's life. Yeah, you knew me back then. You'd probably say the same thing. I think, that's the power of hindsight. That's also the beauty of life. And that's why it's so important that when you do realise these things, you act on them, because you live a lot of life with your eyes glued to the floor without actually opening them, lifting them up and seeing the true reality of the real world and what it's about.
The last thing I'll ask you is, what can people expect from you as a person over the next decade?
What do people expect? I like to think, people can expect to see a man that fulfills all the promises that he made to his daughter, to himself, to the people around him, and to the community that follows him. I like to think that people are going to see a man that is gone through the most traumatizing pain a man can go through, achieve several things in this world that people did not think were possible. I'd like to think people are going to see a man that he's took his daughter around the world, to the top of every mountain, to the bottom of every valley, along every road, across every ocean, to make her proud, to give her an amazing view as she watches down in from heaven, to raise awareness for childhood cancer, to raise life-saving funds, and to inspire a nation and a world of people who thought they couldn't really and truly believe that they can. I'd like to think in the next 10 years that I can make, a valuable contribution to that legacy that I said I was gonna leave behind for my daughter. I'd like to think that, in 10 years' time, we've made some incredible, impactful and game-changing movements to create a bright future for children fighting cancer. So all the parents don't have to feel what I feel, and so all the children don't have to go through what Azalea went through. I'd like to feel like, in 10 years, whether I've got another 20 years left or whether that's the end of my journey, that I've left something in this world that will live far beyond, my years that I'm here. I just want to have made a difference and feel that in 10 years' time, I've gone till the wheels fall off. If the wheels are still on, we've got another 10 years to rock them off. And that I'm well on my way to cementing my place to being where I want to be in the end. And that is in heaven, on my daughter's side. Yeah.
Yeah, Ash, how you feeling? Third and final day, how you feeling?
Do you know what? I feel really good. I'm truly grateful to you and the team, for inviting me down to get this tattoo done. It's 100% my most meaningful piece, and it just completely captures, my journey with my daughter, the strength and the underlying love and power throughout. And I just can't wait for this tattoo to finally be finished. So I've got a piece that I can just not only show off to the world, but I can look at myself, and whenever I need to dig deep and find that strength, I'm sure to find it when I look at this.
Has it been a painful process, this tattoo? Because it's been three days of tattooing.
That's probably been me. That's
probably
the most painful part.
Yeah, the most painful part is listening to Jake's stories, but I can't lie, it's been painful. Not only, is it the stomach, which is classed as one of the most painful areas on the body, but the sessions have been long and gruesome. We've spent some time on this bed, innit?
We have.
And especially this last one, because when this last one was done, obviously I've got a mad training plan now to complete this challenge in April, and I had to go running that night, and my band was over this, and then the healing of it, because it's so dark, it's scabbed, and it took a long time to heal. So it's not only been painful while I've been getting tattooed, but it's been quite a process afterwards. But I kind of like that aspect of it. I think if it didn't hurt, you couldn't appreciate it as much afterwards. So the pain's well worth it for the product that we're going to be able to show and display in the end.
Ash, last thing I'm going to ask you before I let you just finish this tattoo in peace, and then we have the grand reveal. Throughout your journey, what has been the most surprising or unexpected source of motivation that has helped you persevere?
Most surprising or unexpected. Surprising or unexpected. Okay, well, you're gonna know that my answers are never one-dimensional. Yeah. I do everything in 4D. Yeah. My most surprising and unexpected form of motivation is love. I thought all of this was, about bravery, about strength, about resilience, and of course it is. But the reason why I am so motivated, the reason why I am so inspired, the reason why I am so brave, so strong and resilient is down to one thing, and that's love. It's the fact that I didn't understand that through such heartbreaking trauma, even when she was here and she was alive, that I could feel so much love, that I could feel so much happiness, that I could feel so strong. I didn't realise that, a little baby could teach me all of these things in abundance. I didn't realise that she could teach me lessons and learn me things that I never thought were possible. I didn't understand that, after losing, the most precious thing to me in my entire life, that around the corner from it was some unparalleled form of strength. But it all boils down to one thing, and that's love. And I love her that much that I'm not prepared to let anything beat me. I'm not prepared to let anything ground me. I'm not prepared to let anything knock me down or stop me. And as far as onto my family, my family were always there for me, because they loved Azalea so much, and they loved me so much. My mum and my sister giving up work, in the final days of Azalea's life to come and provide that end-of-life care with us. to my brother and my cousin turning up every single day on my doorstep to make sure I was out running because I had to be outside, to them being by my side through these challenges, to the community, you know. And I think if you love someone or you love something so much, I think you'll be able to achieve and do things that you never thought were possible. And yeah, that's my answer, man. It was a tough one, but when I thought about it, it's so obvious. I mean, do you know what it is? I'm disappointed because it's so general. However, bro, I never knew it before. I never knew that all my form motivation was, yeah, fucking, yeah, let's go, ah. Like, I know what makes me tick. And that's it. And the thing is about it, Troy, we all have people that we love, you know, and I think we just, like I said, we have to be brave enough to follow our heart. And if you're brave enough to follow your heart and you have enough belief in yourself, then, you know, your love is a strong enough source of energy to help you overcome anything. It's just been able to really be able to like go on that internal search to find it. Be brave enough, to be strong enough, be humble enough, because on that internal journey, man, you're gonna find things about yourself that you don't like. You're gonna have a reality of circumstances that you're not happy with. But when you can, first of all, acknowledge them, then you can accept them, and then you can build, you know, the necessary tools to be able to either overcome them or work with them to push you on to greatness. Yeah. And that's it. But yeah, that was my answer, man. It's been a fucking pleasure, Troy. I love you, man.
You like it, yeah?
Come on! Hey, it's so fucking sick, bro.
Pleasure,
so
brother.
fucking
Pleasure.
sick. Bro.
You like it, yeah?
Nah, mate, it's awesome. It's the one. It's the one.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Man, it's so good.
Means a lot to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's banging. Yes, people, what's going on? So pop back to Vivid Ink for today's reveal. Now, my tattoo is not only healed, but it's looking absolutely amazing. This piece on my stomach is not only my favorite piece, but my most meaningful piece to date by far. This on my stomach just sums up the journey between me and my beautiful daughter, Azalea. How impactful she was to not only my life, but to people from around the world. Now on this piece, at the top, in orange, I have Little Lion. That's because that's what she was to me. She was strong, she was fearless, she was majestic, and she was so beautiful. Underneath, I have, while others search for what they can take, a true king searches for what he can give. Because after losing my little girl, I just want to spend the rest of my life giving back to the world because of all the things that she taught me. She taught me that even through your darkest days, you can give light to others. Now underneath that, I have a name, Ashley Cain, my endless love, because she will forever and always be the love that fills my heart, the thing that makes my heart beat, the fire in my belly to be the best person that I can be and to achieve everything I need to achieve in this world, in the hope that one day I'll join her again for eternity in heaven. Underneath that, we have remember who you are. Because every time I think about my beautiful daughter, or every time I see a sunset, it makes me remember who I am and why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. And beneath that, in bold, is strong. My daughter was strong. She taught me that even when I felt weak, I could be strong. And strong is what I need to be for the rest of my life to accomplish what I set out to accomplish. Now in this piece, you know, I always say that the journey between me and my daughter was like Lion King. She loved Lion King. But the crazy thing was the roles reversed between Simba and Mufasa. You know, I lost my daughter, so it was important that, you know, Simba was always on top of Mufasa, because I always look up to the heavens to gain my inspiration and my love for my daughter. In fact, even when she was here, I used to look up to her because of how incredible she was. You know, you have the beautiful sunset, which is such a poignant part of my life and what I believe that she always shows me in my times of need. You'll see Pride Rock, where you can see me holding up Azalea, and behind is the Pride of Lions, which I class as my family, and underneath is the animals, which I class as the community that have loved, supported, and still to this day fight for the cause that we so deeply believe in, and that's making a difference in this world for children with cancer. I couldn't have had a more meaningful piece, and I couldn't have even wished to create a more meaningful piece, you know, and that's why Jake's work has been so unbelievable. I told him everything that I wanted to incorporate in this design, and he put something together which is so much better than I could have ever imagined. Not only did he design it, but he translated it on my skin and made an incredible piece that I'll be proud of and use for inspiration for the rest of my life. I just want to say a massive thank you to the team at Vivid Ink, who made this experience not only fun, but meaningful, and gave me a piece on my body that I'll remember forever. I want to say thank you to the community that have loved and supported us throughout this journey and made this difference in the world that we are making for these children possible. As always, you know, I want to thank my beautiful daughter for being the best thing that ever happened to me. And I just want to let you know that I love you, and I'll use the rest of my life fighting for your legacy and to make a difference in this world. Listen, on that note, peace out. Let's go, champs. It's time to continue this journey, making a difference.
Get it.